In an unprecedented decision, triple murderer Travis Baumgartner was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 40 years, the harshest sentence handed down in Canada since execution was abolished in 1962. Baumgartner, 22, will be 61 years old in 2052 when he can first apply for parole. What happened was a brutal crime spree that shocked the nation, leaving families devastated and raising questions about public safety. Baumgartner's actions not only resulted in the loss of 3 innocent lives, but also sparked a nationwide conversation about the effectiveness of the justice system in dealing with violent offenders. Edmonton, Alberta. The quiet hum of city life fills the air, but on this fateful June night, the shadows carry the weight of betrayal. At the University of Alberta's Hub Mall, a team of armed guards works their routine shift, unaware that one of their own is about to shatter everything they hold dear. June 15, 2012. What began as an ordinary night would end in one of the darkest chapters in Canada's history. This is the story of Travis Brandon Baumgartner, a young man whose desperation and betrayal would leave scars that may never heal. Travis Baumgartner, 21 years old, tall, brooding, and seemingly unremarkable. Just another recruit learning the ropes at G4S Cash Solutions. But behind his quiet demeanor was a storm brewing. Travis Baumgartner grew up in Sherwood Park, a suburb of Edmonton. From a young age, he seemed to struggle with fitting in. Friends described him as quiet, even withdrawn, but he had moments of charm. His mother, Sandra, often worked long hours to make ends meet, leaving Travis with a sense of abandonment he carried into adulthood. His childhood was unremarkable, yet cracks began to form early on. Financial struggles and a fractured family life planted seeds of resentment. These early experiences contributed to a growing sense of isolation and dissatisfaction within Travis. As he navigated his formative years, the emotional weight of his upbringing began to shape his identity and relationships. By 21, Travis was burdened with debt he couldn't control. The Ford F-150 he loved was a symbol of his failure. A truck he couldn't afford, co-signed by his mother. His bank account had dwindled to just 26 cents, and he was weeks behind on rent payments to Sandra. Their arguments grew more heated, culminating in a chilling exchange the night before the crime. Sandra Baumgartner.
You can't keep running from responsibility, Travis.
It doesn't matter anymore. I'm not coming home, so don't worry about it. Was it a cry for help or a dark premonition of what was to come? Sandra could never have imagined the depths of her son's despair. Travis's co-workers saw little to suggest the storm within him. He was reserved, often the subject of playful ribbing, but he rarely retaliated. What they didn't know was that Travis harbored a deep resentment toward the job and the people around him. The stage was set. Financial ruin, a strained family bond, and mounting anger created a perfect storm. All that remained was a spark to ignite it. Midnight. The Hub Mall at the University of Alberta. A team of 5 guards from G4S arrives to refill ATMs. Among them, Travis Baumgartner, armed, quiet, waiting. Inside the secure vestibule, Michelle Shigelski oversees the operation. Newly married and known for her meticulous work ethic, Michelle had spent years building her career at G4S. Beside her, Brian Ilesic, a devoted father, jokes with Matthew Schumann, a military firefighter working his 3rd shift with the company. Trust was the foundation of their team, but trust can be fragile, and in an instant it would shatter. The bonds forged through camaraderie and shared experiences can quickly be tested by unforeseen circumstances. As the night progresses, the stability of their relationships will be put to the ultimate test, revealing the true nature of trust in high-stakes situations. From his position at the door, Travis watches his colleagues work. The weight of his plan presses heavily on him, yet he shows no sign of hesitation. His hand drifts to his G4S-issued caliber pistol. Then, without warning, he opens fire. The vestibule erupts into chaos. Michelle and Brian fall instantly, their lives extinguished in a hail of bullets. Matthew collapses, critically wounded but miraculously alive. Blood pools beneath him as he gasps for breath, his body struggling to survive. In seconds, 3 lives were irrevocably changed. Michelle Shigelski, a newlywed with dreams of a future. Brian Ilesic, a father whose young daughter would never hear his laughter again. Matthew Schumann, left fighting for his life, his world forever altered. Outside, Eddie Rejano stands guard by the armored truck, unaware of the carnage unfolding inside. The sudden sound of gunfire draws his attention, but before he can react, Travis steps out and shoots him in the face. Eddie falls to the pavement, and 2 more bullets ensure he will never rise again. Eddie Rejano, a father of 2 young boys, gunned down with ruthless precision. The scene is a nightmare. Blood stains the walls and floors of the vestibule. The bodies of Michelle and Brian lie motionless, and Matthew's faint groans echo in the confined space. Outside, Eddie's lifeless body sprawls on the pavement, a stark reminder of the violence that just unfolded. Trust was broken, lives were stolen, and a community would never be the same. Baumgartner flees the scene in the armored truck, leaving behind devastation and chaos. As he speeds through Edmonton's streets, he begins discarding evidence. In Sherwood Park, he stops at friends' homes, leaving behind bundles of stolen cash as though trying to buy their silence. At his mother's house, he deposits $64,000 on the kitchen table, his bloodied boots a grim testament to his actions. Travis Baumgartner on the run, carrying stolen cash and the weight of his crimes. His flight is erratic, driven by fear and desperation. He switches license plates between his truck and his mother's car, discards his bloodied uniform, and tries to create a false trail. Surveillance cameras, however, capture his every move. As police scrambled to make sense of the carnage, Baumgartner's trail began to unfold, but his arrogance would be his undoing. Despite his careful attempts to evade capture, Baumgartner's overconfidence led him to underestimate law enforcement's ability to piece together evidence. This hubris ultimately resulted in his downfall, as investigators were able to track his movements through the very clues he thought would protect him. Sandra Baumgartner wakes to find the cash and boots. The realization of what her son has done dawns on her as news of the murder spreads. Friends who received money from Travis report their suspicions, adding to the mounting evidence against him. For Sandra, the nightmare was just beginning. The son she had raised was now the most wanted man in Canada. The news spreads rapidly, plunging Edmonton into shock. Police issue a nationwide alert describing Travis as armed and dangerous. His truck becomes a key clue, and its description is broadcast across Canada. Canada held its breath. Who was Travis Baumgartner, and how could someone so young commit such a heinous act? Investigators piece together his movements. Surveillance footage, witness statements, and forensic evidence paint a damning picture. Meanwhile, the families of the victims grapple with their loss.
I could see that my son was lying on the floor, a great amount of blood dragged from the bank room, and paramedics trying to resuscitate him.
The manhunt for Travis Baumgartner was more than a pursuit of justice. It was a race to bring closure to families torn apart by his actions. 40 hours after the killings, Baumgartner's run ends at the Canada-US border. A license plate scanner flags his truck, and armed officers surround him. He surrenders without resistance. The chase was over. Travis Baumgartner, caught with over $300,000 in stolen cash, his plans of escape undone. The arrest is swift, a stark contrast to the violence he unleashed. Baumgartner shows no remorse, his demeanor cold and detached. For the families of his victims, his capture brought relief. But the road to justice was far from over. As Baumgartner is taken into custody, investigators begin uncovering more details about his crime spree. The cash, discarded evidence, and his failed attempts at misdirection reveal not just desperation, but a chilling level of detachment. How does someone reconcile the cold-blooded execution of friends and colleagues with the mundane reality of a failed getaway? The answer lies in the twisted psyche of a man driven by debt and resentment. The public's response is one of anger and bewilderment. News outlets replay the details of the murders, while experts analyze Baumgartner's behavior, debating whether his actions stemmed from pure desperation or deeper psychological issues. The trial becomes a stage for grief and justice. Families fill the courtroom, their pain palpable as Baumgartner pleads guilty to multiple charges, including first-degree and second-degree murder. The judge delivers an unprecedented sentence, life imprisonment with no parole eligibility for 40 years. The harshest sentence in Canada since the abolition of the death penalty, a reflection of the magnitude of his crimes. The courtroom is a microcosm of raw emotion. Cleo Reggiano speaks of the void left by her husband's death. her voice breaking as she describes the struggles of raising two boys without their father. Victor Shigelski, trembling with emotion, recounts the life he had planned with Michelle, a future cruelly stolen.
She was everything to me. She was my anchor, my joy. And now I have nothing.
Brian's parents take turns reading their statements, detailing the milestones their son will never witness: his daughter's graduation, her wedding, her first child. Brian's father: I try to imagine him here, smiling, proud of her achievements. But that's all I have left. Imagination. The judge's words are stern and unrelenting. He describes the premeditated nature of Baumgartner's crimes, the betrayal of trust, and the devastating impact on the victims and their families. Judge:
This court recognizes the profound suffering caused by these actions. The sentence reflects not only the severity of the crime, but society's condemnation of such acts.
Despite the weight of the proceedings, Baumgartner remains stoic. His lack of visible remorse angers the families, leaving them questioning whether justice has truly been served. For the families, justice offered little solace. The man responsible for their pain would spend decades behind bars, but the emptiness left behind was a sentence they would carry for life. The scars left by Baumgartner's actions run deep. For the victims' families, life becomes a daily struggle to find meaning amid the grief. The University of Alberta community bands together to honor the victims. A memorial is erected at the Hub Mall, its somber design a stark reminder of the lives lost. Annual vigils draw students, staff, and the victims' families, each candle lit a testament to resilience. The case also sparks debates about workplace safety, mental health, and gun control in Canada. Experts analyze how financial pressures and unresolved anger can lead to such devastating outcomes, prompting calls for better support systems for employees in high-stress jobs. This is not just a story of crime. It is a story of trust broken, lives shattered, and the enduring quest for justice. In the face of darkness, we find strength to remember, to rebuild, and to never forget. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means the world to us, and we're grateful to have you on this journey of uncovering compelling true crime stories. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. See you in the next video.